And just for historical sake for the article, when were you both born and where?
Okay, I was born in Oakland, California on September 16th, 1930.
I was born in Berkeley, California, March 21st, 1997.
Okay. And does this distract you? I want y'all to look at me and not the camera.
Okay.
Hold on a second. All right. That's better. Okay. Well, do you want me to call you Helen or Mrs. Marshall?
Helen.
Okay. Helen, have you been interviewed before? And have you ever been interviewed by a relative?
No.
Okay.
No. My husband was interviewed here when he was ill, and upstairs, and he's on the cover of the nurses' the national magazine they put out. They interviewed him and videotaped, and they were going to do something further, but nothing further ever came because he was ill, and the nurse that came here, she just was really taken with him and us. And I'll show you the magazine before you leave. I got copies.
So he's on the cover?
He's on the cover.
Oh.
I didn't even know that.
And who did the magazine did the interview? The nurse?
The nurse did the interview. Oh, there were some fellas that came. I don't know who they were, but it was supposed to go viral, but it didn't.
Viral.
They call it now viral.
Yeah. And why did you choose to interview your grandmother? Were you nervous?
I chose to interview my grandmother because, the assignment was to find someone who went through, who had experienced like racial discrimination, or not racial, but discrimination in their lives, and I was like, it's my grandma. She has quite a story to tell.
Racial.
Mm-hmm.
She has quite a story to tell. Yes.
Were you nervous in preparing your interview?
Not really, because it's my grandma. I guess if it was somebody else.
We're very,
obviously very close.
yeah, very close. Yeah.
Well, how did you prepare for the interview?
Well, we had like sample questions and stuff that we could ask. So I really just looked at those and then kind of thought of my own that kind of added on to those sample questions and stuff like that. Yeah.
Was he professional? Was it?
Yes, he was professional, and yet being so close, he was very natural. You know, it was natural.
Has he always been interested in your story? And did he learn? Were you talking about new things, or were these things you had already?
New things and old things, things that he'd never heard and that were shocking to him, maybe at this day and age. Even though more things change, the more they say the same. What's that saying?
What is the saying?
The more things change, you said it.
The more things change, the more they say the same. I mean, we got a long way to go still, I think.
Yeah.
You know, but whoever thought my husband and I would ever move to the South? You know, we would have been buried 10 feet under, not 6.
Yeah. Yeah, I had always I'd always been interested in her stories because like I'd heard that there had been like a lot of like stuff that she'd gone through, but I never really like sat down and talked with her about it until this project. It really like it made me do something that I'd wanted to do for a while, just never really done. So
cool. Gave you a reason to do it.
Gave me a reason to do it.
Did you all learn more about each other because of the interview?
Oh, absolutely.
You too?
Yes, definitely.
Well, just... was it someone's? I thought I heard a phone. I'm going to quote you for a second in this book. You said a lot of really great things. You're a very good writer, by the way.
Thank you.
But things, I mean, you say, I interviewed my beautiful grandmother. You talk about the strength she showed when she went through things, almost tearing up, but, always coming out strong. You described her sense of humor as, I think you used the word wondrous grandmother. You obviously think quite a lot about your grandmother.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
She is my hero. I love my grandmother.
What sort of, I guess maybe describe your favorite memory, if you can think of one. I know that's a hard question. Maybe something about her sense of humor. You said something about that.
I can think of one. It has to do with sort of her and my grandpa. I remember, I think they were staying over our house, or we were staying over their house, something like that, and I wanted to sleep in their bed. I was pretty little. I wanted to sleep in their bed with them. so badly, and so I slept in their bed.
We let
woke up. They won't let me. Woke up the next morning. My grandma. I remember something
Your
about.
grandpa said it.
What? Something
He
about.
said, "I'd rather sleep with 10 dogs."
Yeah, they said I woke up with a foot in the face and
He was all every which way. Yeah, he was funny. My husband was funny.
They made many jokes about that night.
That was funny.
So both of your grandparents had a good sense of humor.
Yes.
Oh, without that, would there be? I recommend that for everyone. I don't care what color or what religion. If you don't have sense of humor in your life, you're really missing life.
So did you always keep that in mind, or was it just coming naturally?
We cried and laughed a lot. I mean, we were emotional people. Movies, we looked at each other and laughed because we're both crying. Very, feeling about movies. He's the same way.
Me too.
Yeah,
Me too.
He gets
Dog
all
movies.
emotional.
Almost crying watching the interview.
Right.
I teared up. I was at the station working on this, and someone asked me what was wrong. The story's, it's good. It's very emotional.
Oh boy, yeah. Yeah, well, we, like he said, when we went to get our marriage, we were going to have to go to Reno because California hadn't passed the law. They said that it wasn't legal. In California, you go to Nevada, who was always more, not as liberal as California. But then we found out we could, so when we went to get our license, I think you wrote about that, so that they gave us a jaywalking ticket just because, mixed couple in 1951, that was unheard of. Now it's, blasé and the thing, or whatever. But with us, and to say love is blind, and it was in our case. And I don't know whether you want me to go running on.
Oh, yeah,
I
of
can
course.
run on.
No, I was wondering from Malik, to know your grandparents in this they're very happy, fun people, the good sense of humor. Was it surprising to hear about all these hardships they had to go through, or?
Yes, but no. I knew that they had gone through stuff because my grandmother was always so wise. She knew all these things, and it's she knows these things because she's been through lots of stuff. I always knew that, but kind of like I said before, I just never really knew in detail what had happened. So yes, I was very surprised when I heard some of the things, but yeah.
And to know, you obviously love her so much, and to know that people could react that way. How did your family react when?
My family put me down, totally. I had a big family too. My grandmother was from England. My grandfather was from Scotland, but they were dead. But the rest of my family, she had 9 children, and they all, my mother included, put me down until his sister was born, Nancy. She was born on my mother's birthday, and my mother came over to see her. And from then on, we became close, except, that she begged us to come back. And everybody embraced us in the family then. And we were very, they wanted us, they fought for our, come to my house, come to my house, And then my Aunt Ethel actually said of her daughter Winnie, "Why won't you go over Hal and Winnie's? They've invited you 3 times." And I said, "My God, my cup runneth over." All of a sudden, And anyway, that was it was hurtful. But I just said, my husband comes first. My children, my husband. When I made my vows, I took them seriously.
How did your husband's family react?
Oh, we went to Minnesota. That's where his family was from. And I met his father, but he was sort of senile at the time. But his mother, she did not really, that's when we had Nancy. We hadn't had Donnie yet. But she said, we were out working in her garden, I remember. And she said, I really didn't want my son to marry a white woman. I said, well, it's a little late now. We're married, you know. I just told her, you know, I mean, that's the way it is. And, you know, and then we ended up, I loved her. She loved me. It was a real love affair as we got to know each other. Irene, that was his grandmother, his great-grand. No, yeah, great-grand, right. And I want to show you a picture of them. I meant to, his whole family on her side. That's that picture. So yeah, on both sides it wasn't immediately accepted.
And you mentioned was it your grandparents? One was Scottish, one was English. They were married?
Yeah.
Was that not considered kind of, I mean, at least back then, kind of a mixed couple as well?
England and Scotland?
Yeah. I feel like that would be a big issue. Kind of like here, Baptist and something else at one point.
Not that I know of. I mean, I know he loved her, and but I always heard my grandmother was in love with someone else, and his brother maybe, or something. But I'm not sure it was true, but she ended up marrying him. I don't know.
That's funny.
But her name was, I always laugh at the name, it's so English. Her maiden name was Ethel Maud Wiccan.
Oh, that is very English.
Is that British or what? And he was James Brown Carmichael.
Oh, James Brown.
Yeah.
Malik writes of several episodes where you were fired from your work.
Oh, yeah.
How many times did that happen?
It happened 3 times before we wised up. You could say wised up. It hurt. He came, I worked for R.J. Reynolds Tobacco. And, you know, they were from the South. And they had a camel caravan. You ever hear of camel caravan? In fact, I was kind of cute. And this boss had just been telling me, do you want to go on the road? Well, I said, I'm not sure with a camel caravan and so on. My husband came and picked me up in an open convertible. It was downtown in the financial district. And somebody saw him. And when I got back from lunch, I went to lunch, I was fired. So that was the first time. Then 2 other jobs. And finally we said, we both have to work.
Same thing with the 2 other jobs? They
fired me. There was a furniture company and also a Edie Bullard company, I remember. I had worked for them for a while.
Did it affect his work?
No. No. He worked for Municipal Railway. He drove a bus. 32 years, as a matter of fact. And they fired, and then we decided, well, we've got to hide our marriage because we have to have the money. And that I know that it hurt my kids, you know, to have to be around the corner to pick me up, you know, it was terrible. But the funny thing is, with the last job, Beeline, everybody knew him. We'd go to parties with all the employees, but not the bosses. They, you know, but anyway, yeah, that happened.
How did it, or I guess when did it start affecting your kids? Or when did you notice it was affecting them?
Well, probably, what would you say?
Affected me real early.
Yeah.
I remember being a little kid and we have to park 2 blocks away to pick her up.
Around the corner or something.
And I was like, why do they say what it's doing? They tell me that if they knew, they knew.
Do you understand now? Because you always said it kind of to me like I was ashamed or something, and I've never.
No, I just didn't know. I was a little kid.
You know, it always made
process that he couldn't. His mother would be fired if they found out he was married to a black man. You know, as a little kid.
That was hard for you to fathom.
Something I always remember.
Malik, have you ever had any issues with race? And you go to Central, which is historically had a big race issue. So have you ever been affected by anything like this?
Well, I guess not like directly really, but it's like a sort of going to Central, there's sort of like people can say forever, like people like teachers and Mr. Russo, they can say forever that this doesn't exist, but it is definitely there. There is a dividing line at Central between the majority black and the majority white, and the majority white would be the smarter classes and the majority black would be the not as smart classes. It's definitely there. And being somebody who was raised how I went to a private school for elementary, so I am in the more advanced classes, and that has affected me by bringing me mostly all white friends. I have some classes that aren't affected by advanced or unadvanced, and so I have black friends in those classes, but it's like, you know, I go to lunch and there's all these black people sitting over here, all these white people sitting over here, and I don't know any of the black people. So I go sit with the people that I know, and it just, it's really weird for me, like being like the only one over here when like all the people that are.
Do they kind of put you down, the black?
Like not like, like a little bit. Like it's like a, it's
by
like
actions.
Not
more than words.
It's like a unsaid sort of like maybe like a weird look or like a
innuendos. Yeah.
Are they ever masked as jokes?
It's not like.
Or it's just not verbal.
It's not verbal.
Okay.
Because I guess people try to act like it's not there, but it's there.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely there.
And I think it's been really interesting to see you on stage, where your personality has come forth and become present, and maybe more people get to know you in that context. And of course, in the theater group is more diverse than
right.
Are you an actor?
in a typical
Yes.
class.
Oh, you Miss Beath?
I will next year. I know her. I know her
Okay.
very well, but
Cool.
I don't have her class.
My sister was very into drama, and she was there. Loved it.
Cool.
I'm glad you're doing that. I would never be able to do
Yeah, he's really talented.
Thank you.
Expressive.
that. Have you been to see his plays?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
he was at the Rep. Played in that Singing on a Star.
Oh, at the Rep?
Yep.
I got his rap, but it's in my bedroom.
You don't
You
bring
should
out
see,
the-
you got it.
He's got the leading role in High School Musical
You've
that's
seen,
coming up at
Really?
Central.
Are you Zac Efron?
Did you see the
Yeah, I'm
Rep
Zac
when he did that
Efron.
rap? Did you go to the Rep and see that?
I did get to, and I want to
Okay.
see it.
I'm gonna come see that. I'll bring my little sister. You were with your husband for 57 years, correct? Before he passed
He
away.
passed.
During a huge, among other things, but during a huge civil rights movement. And what was it like from the beginning when you met him to up until 2009? Is that correct? What
Right.
seeing that change, being part of it?
When Obama was, thank God he got to see Obama. He was in awe. He says, "Oh my God, Helen, my folks would just," you know, his father was an attorney, but he never practiced law because the blacks would go to the white lawyers. And most of them couldn't afford lawyers, you know. And so he never, but he was state grain inspector and a very famous football player, very in the Hall of Fame and all that. But he was in awe. Thank goodness that he saw that. He just couldn't get over. He every time, you know, and if he only knew he was, maybe he does, second term, you know. Yeah, I was just thinking about Hiram, our friend, who was an attorney in San Francisco, who became quite prominent. And he went, when they had that, when those three got shot, when they all went down south to, for the civil rights movement down there, he went down there, Hiram went down there with a couple of other lawyers, and how he told us about what was going on down there. And we couldn't, you know, we just went like, we mostly with black people, we were around black people more than white. In fact, this mixed couples had asked us, did we want to join this mixed couple club? And I said, we don't want to be in a mixed couple club. He said, no. And so we declined that, even though we were fine, come to my house, and, you know, if you're a mixed couple, fine, but we don't want to be defined by mixed couple. And as the time went by and things got sort of better, we had a lot of friends. We made a lot of friends, and we carved a life out. And at first it was mostly black people, because we'd go to a party, and the women would not talk to me, have anything to do with me, and the men, you know, if they were dancing, the men better not ask me to dance. And like I told you, sometimes I'd go in the bathroom and cry because my husband would even kind of feel, what am I doing with her? You know, I just felt that. And but things did change. We made a lot of friends. Like I said, we were both had senses of humor and personable. And
did you make more? Was it obvious to you, or did you feel it? Or I guess maybe if it's happening, this is a little hard. But over the years, making more friends as it became more accepted.
Yes.
Okay.
In fact, at his memorial, we had it up in Redwoods, up in wine country where we lived, and Armstrong Woods. It's a beautiful grove of redwoods where they had tables, we had food, and we had a microphone, and there were hundreds. How many people were there? I mean, how many friends we had, I didn't realize. It was just jam-packed. Because for older people, usually all your friends died, you know. Like I only have a few friends left at 82, you know. But just with jam-packed, we had a lot of friends. We had made a life, and in spite of it all.
Mm-hmm. You were in California.
Right.
Do you remember when the Central High integration happened?
Oh, yes. Yes, we watched it. We watched everything more memorable on TV. We saw every bit of it when Faubus came out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we watched it all.
I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, every bit of it, yeah. And, yeah. And we saw when John F. Kennedy was
She
shot.
was pregnant that year, though, so it was a little tough.
That was what?
You were pregnant that year. That was October 3rd. I was born in 57. So,
Yeah, we were very,
that's
we
the
were,
same time that
I've always been, I'm old.
You've been involved
In politics, I've always been involved, not involved, but I mean, I've watched politics, everything about politics, and we watched, we saw John F. Kennedy get shot, we saw the whole funeral, we saw when Bobby,
As a little kid, I just want to, as a little kid, I'll never forget my mother and father coming home, both of them crying.
when Kennedy was shot. Oh my gosh,
John
it was
F.
so
Kennedy.
sad. We cried all day. We got in bed and cried all day watching TV.
Yeah,
Had it
when I was 5,
nonstop.
I'll never forget that.
And then also Martin Luther King and Bobby Kennedy. It was just,
The two of them, that was pretty close together, right? Bobby Kennedy.
Yeah.
And Luther King.
Bobby
Yeah.
King and Martin Luther King. was
Same year.
close.
Abraham Martin and John, that song, and Where's Bobby? Yeah.
Now I heard you say that that was news to you, that you didn't really know that they followed it.
Oh yeah.
What was it like knowing that Malik was going to go to Central? Did you?
Oh, I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved the idea that he was going to go to Central after having seen what happened, you know. And then when we went to the museum, it used to be in that little gas station, the museum.
Mm-hmm.
And my husband and I went, and we both were crying. We had to stay inside. We were embarrassed.
Mm-hmm.
We were both crying, watching the TV, seeing all that.
Oh, the
Yeah,
videos
you
of
know
that.
Yeah.
They make it.
They don't
Where's
have
that?
that in there anymore. It's across the
No,
street.
yeah, it's across the
But
street.
Yeah.
they play those same videos.
Yeah.
Bigger and better.
Oh my gosh, we were just blown away by it.
We,
Seeing that, being here, and I don't mean to, but he'd say, sometime when we moved here, he'd look at me and he'd say, "What are we doing sleeping with the enemy?" Because actually we really didn't make friends here, other than Unity, the Unity people. We never made friends here. I have no girlfriends, just my family, you know, and
We, Mr. West and I had the chance to interview Miss Thelma Mothershed Weir yesterday, one of the Little Rock Nine, which was very cool.
Okay.
But she mentioned the fact, she had mentioned one specific moment, she can't remember the girl's name, but of someone being nice to her. And it was the one person the whole year that she was at Central that was nice to her. I imagine, being fired from so many of your jobs and your kids can't even come near you at work. were there moments that people, you know, were nice, and was that a surprising thing when it happened?
Yes, when I met Sylvia, that's my girlfriend. She's been here to visit me. She's still my friend. I worked with her at Beeline. I was always in printing, and I introduced her to Don. She's been my friend, you know, forever. In fact, she subbed for me at a party last year because I just didn't feel like going. They had a birthday party it's a black couple, Pat and you were there, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And my girlfriend went. Who would do that? Just Sylvia. You got to hand it to her for doing that.
Oh, she didn't know anyone. She just went.
Yeah, she knew my family. She knew everybody in my family, but she didn't know there was a whole bunch of people, and
she took the place of my mother being the only white person at the party.
Thank you.
Sylvia was the only white person at the party.
The only white person, right?
I've always said my mother's the only white person I know. I remember being in San Francisco once. We went to this event, and it was in a big hall. There was like 500 people. She was the only white person there. That she didn't even realize it. I said, Mom, do you realize you're the only white person here?
God, how many times has that happened? I never paid.
Yes, I am. But I mean, how many white people would you?
I never paid attention.
Right.
That was always like that. It seems like we'd have to go to parties. I mean, I would always be the only. But I never thought. I mean, I was made to think about it, like I said, because of. But actually. Later on, it became where I was just
neutralized.
Yeah.
Malik, that's interesting. So you're saying often didn't even notice, but that you were the only white person. When you're at lunch at Central, are you usually the only black person?
Well, I mean, there's like maybe 2 or 3, maybe depending on the day. But
what about in your classes?
My classes, there are actually. They're black girls. I don't have many black guys in any of my advanced classes, if any. I can't think of it, but there are a few black girls, so it's not complete like isolation.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I can't.
And you also,
but you know,
you don't walk around thinking that all day, obviously.
No, I don't. But you know, like sometimes I'll just like be sitting at lunch with like a bunch of people, and I'll start thinking about it. I'll be like. You know,
it's a similar situation to just not really think about it, but
yeah,
that's what's happening.
He wants more black friends. He doesn't know how to get them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I wish that. I know, I can understand that.
Yeah.
You know, that's sad that it has to still be like that.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much inertia in social groups, and you know, we all stay within our comfort zone.
And they probably think kind of you because I don't know.
Are you saying the black?
The black.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's what we used to say. They still say that?
No, I've never heard
they
that
don't say I've you.
Say what?
Ignore, in other words.
Oh, okay.
You.
Yeah.
That when I was a teenager, we used to say that.
Yeah, like I have like if I'm hanging out with my cousin, like he's got friends that I know that go to Central that are black, and so I'll hang out with them outside of school.
Mm-hmm.
But like inside of school, it's like I don't really hang out with them because they I don't want to say they're like embarrassed to hang around me, but it's like that's the guy that hangs out with the white people, you know. Like I mean, like you'll say what's up in the hallway, but that's you don't really. I don't know. It's like it's weird.
Yeah. No, I gotcha.
If you don't mind me asking, Maggie, what are the situations where those color lines or those group lines tend to dissolve and you can interact more freely with people just as on a personality basis and
in the classroom? In the classroom, I guess on the first few days it's not really. I mean, it's kind of separate, but like by the end of the year, everybody in the classroom is friends with everybody else in the classroom. It's not because you're forced to hang out with that group of people. It's not like I mean, if you're in one room, the blacks and the whites can hang out on one side as long as they want, but eventually it's gonna mingle with group activities and with stuff like that, and that's why when I have classes with people, I'm usually there's none of that goes on there. But then when you get outside and you go to lunch or in your hallways and stuff where it's a lot bigger space and there's a lot more of your like real friends that you want to hang out with, not that you got put in a class with, it's not like that.
Right.
I'm thinking of the word that was hurled at me. I won't say the N word, but N lover. You N lover. You know, I mean, that was.
How did you just
ignore it? I don't look at.
silence?
I ignored it. I held my head up. I'm sorry. I'm going to say what my mother used to say. Helen, keep your head up if your behind's in the gutter. I don't know what it meant, but that's sort of what I think she meant. You know, I just ignored all that. I wasn't going to lower myself to answer back and yell back and be coarse back. I just took it and went on walking, kept on walking, and just said, I'm not going to let that affect me. I love my husband. I love my children. And that's the way it is.
Malik, when you think of your grandma and your grandpa, what's the first thing that comes to mind?
I mean, like, there's so many, like...
This is kind of word association, but yeah.
Okay, the first thing that comes to mind is, like, experience. Like, they know stuff. They've been around the block. They've done this. Pretty much, if I'm going through something, as long as it's not like a one of those modern problems but like something with a computer or something like that. If I'm going through something, they've been through it. They know. I can call my grandma up. I can ask her for advice. I could talk to my grandpa back. You know, I could ask him. You know, they always knew what to say. Yeah.
And I'm gonna ask the same thing about.
He used to say, "I've been around the teacup and found my handle." That was your dad saying. I've been around the teacup, not around the block.
Say that again, that expression.
I've been around the teacup and found the handle, he would say, you know. I mean, some of his, he was funny.
He had a million sayings.
Yeah.
We got that video of him. I want to watch it too sometime, you know. He took video of him before he was sick.
She asked you a question.
Oh no, this is fine.
Okay.
This is good. You have video of him before he was sick.
Yeah, where he interviewed him.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
You know.
Pretty long interview.
Yeah, which was a good thing, and I want to see that again. But I don't know how to operate the DVD.
Both my parents had quite a story to tell. My dad went through.
So have you interviewed?
Oh my goodness, when he went in the service in 1943. Oh my goodness, he was from Minnesota. That's a whole storybook by itself.
He was from Minnesota, and his father was a hero. You know, in the Hall of Fame, he was the first black to play in the NFL. So he was like growing up. He was, you know, known as Bobby Marshall's son. Everybody in Minnesota knew who he was. So
He'd get in trouble.
Famous. Yeah.
And the judge would say, "We got your kid down here again." He'd go and get him out.
So he wasn't used when he went in the Navy and had felt racism. He was in Memphis, Tennessee. He went through a lot.
He went to Millington, Tennessee boot camp.
So did he play football?
No, his father.
Okay, but he didn't.
No,
Okay.
He tried, but he was too small.
But he was good. He was bad in the Little League. Good, bad. You know,
Big man.
Yeah, and when they dropped, he wouldn't take the oath of office because his brother, who was in the 99th Pursuit, Bobby Marshall, his brother. He said, "Junior," they call him Junior. You get it. You go down and join, and I'll get you in the Air Force. So we got down there, and he said, "Okay, he's joining," and so on. So they said, and he said, "I want the Air Force." So my brother, "I want the Air Force." So after he signed and all that, the guy said, "You're in the Navy." Just like that. And he was so mad, he wouldn't take the oath of office. They kept bugging him to take the oath of office all the way.
He never took it?
Yeah, he finally had to. They just wore him down. They put him in charge of the detail going down south on the train. He said when they dropped that green cloth on them, where the blacks had to stay behind the cloth, and the black guys had to be 2 to a berth, where the white guys all had 1 to a berth. he really got mad. He really he couldn't believe it, you know.
Mhm.
So there's a long story from then on. If I got into it, you'd be here till
But
tomorrow night.
when he was in Memphis, he was on a bus and he refused to go to the back of the bus
Right.
way before.
He refused. It was a Navy bus.
Right.
And
And they called
the
the
guy said, "I'm not
EMTs.
moving this bus till you get to the back of the bus." And he said, "Oh, you're never going to move the bus then because I ain't getting to the back of the bus." So the guy said, "Okay, we'll just sit here." And there was a commander, Navy commander on there. And he said to the bus driver, "You better get this bus started and get us back to that camp. And when you get there, you're fired." And they fired the bus driver. He was a
Wow.
guy from a Yankee.
What year would that have been?
1943, it would have been around 43, 44.
Yeah.
Yeah,
before
so
the
he
bus
did.
driver
He
said.
fired the guy, the bus driver.
Wow.
Yeah.
I would've loved
So
to
that
do
was his first, and he wrote Eleanor
Civil
Roosevelt
rights thing. Yeah.
and about what was going on down at the camp where they were segregated, and she answered him, and it's in his record, and I'd like to get it. But he got a blue discharge because of that. He got a what do you call it when they call you up in the
Honorable
Navy?
discharge.
No, when they call you
Honorable.
a court martial,
Oh.
some kind of court martial where he didn't have to get out, but
I don't know.
but they gave it was on his record that he went above, broke the chain of command, and wrote Eleanor Roosevelt.
Oh.
So she answered him. Bless her heart, she was a great
Wow.
woman.
Mhm.
So yeah, he made us wherever he was, you know.
Oh.
Little feisty guy, you know. Just you had to love him.
Like, did you know that story?
See, I never heard any of this stuff.
You should get his records, get
I-
that letter.
I don't know. The thing about there's a lot of things I wish I could have put in. I wish I could change this essay so much now that I put in the book.
Can
It's
write more
like,
essays.
yeah, I could, I guess. This what she said about for example, what she said about her parents not accepting her at first. I didn't know that when I wrote the essay. And there's just a lot of stories that I've heard since then. I'm like, wow, I could have put that in there. And also, I wrote it like over a year ago, and so my writing skills have gotten a bit better. So I wish I could change that too. But
You could put it in the
You
book
know.
when you write the book of your grandmother's life.
One more
There
thing
you
of
go.
interest about his Navy. He guarded. They sent German soldiers over here to camps to be in camps, prisoners.
Prisoner of war.
And when at night they'd have the movies, they'd have to walk a mile from the black quarters up to the ones he guarded them, would have to sit on benches in the back, and the German soldiers got to sit in seats in the front with backs on them.
The German prisoner of war.
The prisoners of war.
Yeah. they
He said that
blame the
really
prisoners.
made him mad. You know, I mean, here he's
Yeah.
guarding them during the day.
Wow.
Yeah, that's how it was then.
And that's all in the interview?
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, he talks about that.
You can write a book then.
I can.
Yes, you really could. Boy, I bet it could be a bestseller between him and I. Oh my gosh.
I'm going to ask you the same question I asked him a second ago. What's the first thing that comes to mind when you think of your grandson?
How proud I am. I mean, God, I love him so much. I mean, I used to babysit him when he was little, and we just got very close, very close. I just used to go stay there. We lived just everything. I'm so proud of him, not only because of his wonderful knowledge, but just because of who he is, you know. I mean, that's a bonus that he's so doggone smart.
What do you both want people to get from your story, your joint story together? When people read your essay or hear this, what do you want?
That maybe it might change a few of the people you're having trouble with and the people that I had trouble with, and maybe they'll see that this is skin.
Yeah, it's just a pit of
Skin,
pigment.
it's something that covers you. It's, I mean, inside we all bleed red, and we're all the same, you know, and that's about what I would like to maybe have someone learn by it.
I think that's exactly what the Memory Project is, right?
That's
And I know I'm taking up a lot of your time, but I have one last question.
I'm enjoying this so much.
This is great.
I never talk to anybody. I sit in that room and watch the tube. Oh my God, have you seen The Americans?
Right now they're doing all that cruise ship stuff on the news, so
You're
going on.
I'm talking about a TV show
TV
called
Yeah,
The Americans.
yes.
Have you watched that? Where the Russians, remember the Russian spies years ago?
Fixing to watch it.
I have only heard of it. I've never watched it.
Yeah, oh, it's really good.
I've been watching Downton Abbey way too much.
Oh yeah, that's good
good
with.
Well, how do you, speaking of the Memory Project, how do you feel about the Memory Project and what it's doing? You, I guess, yesterday when we did it, Miss Thelma didn't know about it, but have you read the book or?
Oh yeah, you mean the book?
The books that they're published in, yeah.
I haven't read it all, I'll be honest.
well, yeah. I
Well,
haven't expected you. to.
Right, but I've read some of them.
And
Some
how
of
do you-
them, and
what do you
I
think
think
about
it's a wonderful thing that they put together. You know, to get these kids together to write. Yeah, that was wonderful.
Did you enjoy the experience?
Oh, it was great. I loved looking at the stories of all these people, and I'm positive this is probably said in every single Memory Project interview, but I have to say it again. It gives you that view, that gives you that those stories that they don't write about in the textbooks, those personal stories of like the average Joe who might have lived like my grandparents. While they were amazing, they weren't like, you know, these famous people that they were written about in textbooks. You wouldn't know these stories unless you went up close and personal and you talked to people that have gone through stuff